In this video, I'm going to talk about user permissions and workflow, specifically invoice approvals in QuickBooks Online. Now, this functionality of limiting what users can do in a very specific way and being able to limit the invoice creation process to a certain dollar amount or to a certain group of customers before it getting approved. This is the invoice approval workflow. This is only available in QuickBooks Online Advanced. If you're not sure which version of QuickBooks Online you have, simply click on the gear menu on the top right hand of the screen. Click on where it says Account and Settings, and then you're going to click on the Billings or Billing and Subscription tab, and you will know which version you're in. I have QuickBooks Online Advanced in mind. Now, you also know based on how much you pay per month. So QuickBooks Online Advanced is the highest tier in the QuickBooks Online world. For most people, it's about $150 a month. So to be able to have this functionality, you have to be in this version. Otherwise, there's no other way to do it. So I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to create a user that can only do invoices. And two, I'm basically going to limit the invoices that that person can make to $500, and if they're above $500, it requires approval by someone that has more than administrative access. So I'm going to click on Workflows on the left-hand side of the screen, and then I'm going to click on My Workflows, and then you're going to see an option here on the right-hand side that says Create Workflows. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on where it says Invoice Approval, and then click on Create. So once I do that, that's going to take me to the invoice approval workflow, and this is what I'm gonna be setting up. So in here under name, I'm gonna just type on invoice approval. Under customer, I'm gonna select all because this is gonna be a condition for all customers. Keep in mind that I can choose which customers specifically are gonna be limited to this invoice approval workflow. I can also pick by location if I'm using a specific location, or if I'm using invoice dollar amount. So in this case, I'm going to do invoice dollar amount greater than 500. It's then going to require, I'm going to click on add condition, it's going to require an approval. So basically that person can create them, but they don't get automatically approved. We're going to scroll down here and kind of see the process 3 of the actions that can be programmed. For now, I can't change these. This is the only action that you can take, but as QuickBooks Online improves their workflow, you should be able to see more moving parts in here. So right now, Hector, who's the admin person, is going to get an email saying, hey, you should log in and approve this. Only people with administrative access or full access can approve invoices through this workflow. It says here this is going to be sent via email. Okay, if there's a different email address, you can change it there, and that person will also get a text message asking for the workflow. Then you can pick how many days that person has to approve that invoice, and if they don't approve it, it gets automatically approved, or they just get another reminder, and it truly does need, regardless how long it takes for that person to approve it, for this to work. You can also change the template if you want to, of what you want that email notification to look like. So I'll just click on save here, or save and enable, depending on what your screen looks like, and that officially sets up the workflow. So when I try to create an invoice, I'm the admin. When I try to create an invoice, and I'll create it for, let's say, for this customer, and I'll create it for, I'll pick an item here and make it $1,000. I click on save. It automatically gets approved because I am the admin, right? So this is only going to work for people that are non-admin. So let's talk about that. So let me click on escape here, and then I'm going to click on the gear menu on the top right, and then click on manage users. And then this is where I have all my users. I got this user by the name of Michael Lopez that I only want to give that person access to creating estimates and invoices. So I'm going to click on roles here and create a custom role just for Michael. So I'm going to click on add role, and I'm going to give him only access to invoices and estimates. I'm not going to give him access to my banks, to my inventory, to my payroll. I'm just limiting them to only invoices and estimates. And because there's no estimate workflow that's going to be automatically approved, is only the invoices, only 500, over 500, that will get flagged for approval. So we'll click on next, and we'll call this Mike's role. And we'll put here invoices below 500 and all estimates. Just a quick description so I kind of know what that role is. So I'll click on save, and then I'm going to have Mike's role saved. So I'm going to go back to users, and then I'm going to edit Michael Lopez. I'm going to click on edit, and then I'm going to give him Mike's role. So that person's limited to only invoices and estimates. And we'll go ahead and click on save. And that's it. My user is set up. Now I'm going to switch over to another browser where I basically logged in as Michael. I'm going to go ahead and click on refresh. So it refreshes that user permission structure. When I click on new, notice that only invoices and estimates are highlighted. If I try to do anything else, it doesn't work. It basically tells me, I'm sorry, you don't have access to this, right? So I'm going to click on new here, and then click on invoice. And then I'm going to create an invoice for under 500. So I'll pick a customer here at random, pick an item here, and then sell this for 400. I'm going to date this the 23rd, and then click on save. It let me do it, no problem. Notice up here it says approved, basically letting me know that there's no approval workflow. But I'm going to go ahead and try to create an invoice now, let's say for 2,000. So I'll pick any customer here at random. I'll pick an item, and we'll make this 2,000. And I'm going to go ahead and click on save. And you will notice that I get a pop-up that says, by the way, invoice needs approval. Would you like to send the admin for them to approve it? So I'm going to click on send approval, and basically I'm going to get an email requesting for approval. Now this is what the email looks like. It says here, hello, invoice 142 is pending approval. To approve it, there's basically a link there you can click. You can go straight to there, and it will take you to the place in QuickBooks where you do those approvals. Let me go into QuickBooks here and go into tasks, because that's where those approvals are going to go. And I'm logged in as the administrator at this point. I'm the one that's going to approve that invoice. So right here it says, notice that there's another invoice there from before. This one from today, here we go. Here's the XXX Corporation for $2,000. At this point, I can click on deny or approve. I can just click on approve, and that will approve that transaction. Now I'm going to log back as Mike, and then I'm going to click on the magnifying glass that shows me all the transactions we have entered, and I'll go back to that XXX Corporation, and notice that now this says approve. So really cool, really interesting workflow, how this is working. I'm going to go back into my other browser where I'm logged in as admin, and then I'm going to show you this particular invoice. This was created before. That's also pending approval. Now I'm going to date this on the 23rd. Okay, so both transactions, the one that was approved and this one, are both dated on the 23rd, and I'm just going to save it. So I'm not going to approve it yet. Actually, that would automatically approve it. So let me do something else instead, because I was trying to achieve something else. Let me go back into Mike here and create a new invoice. I'll also date that on the 23rd and pick a customer here. Let's do a different one, and we'll do this one for, let's say, 10,000. I want to show you what happens in the financial statement with these unapproved invoices, because this is really, really important. Conceptually speaking, this is really important. So I'm going to click on save, and now this is on the needs approval mode. So I'm going to click on send for approval, and then I'm going to log back into my other browser where I'm logged in as the admin. Notice that I refreshed, and I'm going back to the task manager here, and this invoice is still waiting for approval. So I'm not going to approve it or deny it yet, but I'm going to run a report for all my sales on the 23rd. So I'm going to go to profit and loss, and then pick here 8/23/2020, 8/23/2020, and then click on run report. Now, one thing that's crucial, is really, really important, is when an invoice gets created, even if it's pending approval, it's still going to post into my profit and loss report. So I'm actually going to click on it and see it, and I'm looking at the invoice, and it says pending approval. So the pending approval doesn't stop it from posting, which is something that I think QuickBooks needs to fix, by the way. That's a whole nother conversation. This tool needs to be improved, so you can choose whether or not this is a posting or non-posting type of transaction. But just so you know, an invoice that it's still pending approval will post into the book. Now, if I click on deny and it says deny approval, and then I click on save and close, and I'm going to go back into my profit and loss. Notice that the invoice is still posted. So the approval is just basically a tag. It's just approved, non-approved. So it shows up in my task manager as kind of work that I need to do. But it doesn't really stop the user from posting it. So that's something that I think QuickBooks should look into, but I think it's a great step forward for doing the approval workflow. Maybe the approval workflow is really just meant for emailing it to the customer. So let's try that. I'm going to go back into Mike's login. I'm going to do an invoice, select a different customer here, and I'll pick an item. And let's say this customer is rob@gmail.com. Okay, and this is going to be, let's say, $1,000. I'm going to click on save, and this will automatically go for approval. I'll click on send for approval. Let me go back to it for a second. So this was Rob Johnson, and I want to try to email this, right? So if I click on the drop down menu and click on save and send, okay, it basically stops it from being sent. So my customer basically cannot get this invoice from QuickBooks. And I can still print it. I can do a print preview, and I could essentially save this in PDF and then attach it to an email, so it doesn't fully stop the user from somehow finding a way to still sending it to the customer. But pretty much you cannot send it through QuickBooks to the customer until this has been approved. Now I'm going to log in as the admin. I'm going to refresh the task manager so we can see that invoice there that's pending approval. I'm going to click on approve. That approves the invoice, but still doesn't allow me to email it to the customer. I'm going to go back and log in as Mike. I'm going to refresh here so we can see now that this has been changed from pending to approved. Now I can click on save and send, and now this will take me through the workflow of emailing the invoice to the client. I could also do that as the admin. I can go back and look at my recent transactions, open up the invoice, and also do the save and send from here. So that's also missing in the workflow design, a place for me to also remember that I need to go back and email this invoice to the client. So I want it to be as thorough as possible and kind of show you the first version of invoice approvals in QuickBooks Online Advanced. I have a lot of clients already using this and they're loving it, but it's important the things that you learn along the way, the posting status, the email status, that's stuff that I think they'll add later on in the approval feature. They'll add that in the workflow so you can design that part. And when they do, I'll create a new video, and I'll probably delete this one and override it with a new one. But for now you know how invoice approvals work, and this might make it worth it for you to go to QuickBooks Online Advanced if you're already on Essentials or Plus. Anyway, hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.